Greetings, Earth enthusiasts. If you ever wondered about the incredible perspectives our planet has to offer from high above, you're in the right place. I am Dr. Clive Coetzee, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this captivating journey into the world of remote sensing. Welcome. And please remember to like, subscribe to, and share this video. Thank you.
In the previous video tutorial, we quickly focused on how to import a CSV file or a table into the Earth Engine, into your code editor as an asset, and then to convert that asset into a feature collection so that you can use it for whatever reasons. And then we also looked at exporting that feature collection into your Google Drive so that you can, for example, work it in Excel or in QGIS, wherever the case might be. So the previous video tutorial pretty much focused on importing a table or CSV as an asset and converting into feature collection. And then let's say we've worked with that table, we worked with that feature collection, we added some information or data or amended stuff, whatever the case might be. Now you've got basically a new feature collection or new table, and now you want to export that specific feature collection or table. How do you go about it? And now, so our previous video tutorial pretty much focused on that. Okay, so remember we're still busy with open buildings. We're still busy with open buildings with our built-up structures. Okay, and so remember we said that we have created, or within open buildings we've created a 2D model of each of our features or each of our buildings through its area in size, meaning width and height. What you want to do is also create a height. Okay, so that's what we were busy working with in the previous video. So we're going to continue on that vein, and we're going to continue working on our canopy height model, and specifically adding a height value to each of our built-up features. Okay. Remember, we used our open buildings to identify or to digitize each of our buildings or built-up structures. Okay, so remember, and then to develop the height or the canopy height, we basically used, let me just quickly get there, let's just make this bigger. We basically used these three images. Okay, so we need a digital terrain model, which is basically just a surface as flat, and the height is height above sea level. And then we need a digital surface model, and there's two of them that I've included. The only difference really between the two is the date or the time period of these ones. Okay, sadly they're only up to 2016, I think. So there might be a building there, but it might be post these images, and therefore it will still display the height as if there was no structure. So just bear that in mind, that there's time issues here, which is not ideal, but nonetheless, let's continue with it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is basically remember to calculate the height of a feature on the surface. We basically just subtract either this particular DSM image or this particular DMM image from our digital terrain model. Okay, so that gives us our, as I said, I've named it CHM for canopy height model. So we basically just subtract each of these DSM digital surface models from our standard DTM model, and I called it canopy height model 1 and canopy height model 2. It's up to you which one you want to use. As I said, this particular image is just, I think, a year or two post this particular one. So right, you play around with it, see which one works for you, which one is better. I don't think there's much of a muchness between the two. Nonetheless, it gives you an option, work with the two. If you have more up-to-date digital surface models, then obviously feel free to use it. Unfortunately, for my region of interest, I can't seem to find any better images or more up-to-date images than these ones. Okay, Just remember the DTM is the flat, surface flat, meaning there's nothing on it. Okay, so the only height that is included here is the surface above sea level. And remember, here you have the surface, the height of the surface, including all its features. So you have to subtract these two, or these two, to get to the height of the features itself. Okay, this is what we basically do here. And we subtract the two, and when we add them to life. So now we've created a digital height image, this one, for our region of interest based on this digital surface model and this digital terrain model. And we've created a image, a canopy height image, a second image, which is based on this particular digital surface model and using our previous digital terrain model. So now I've created that. Okay. So what I want to do now is I want to remember we've created that Excel spreadsheet or that CSV table from our open buildings version 3. Remember, we indicated that that seems to be the most up-to-date one and the one that digitizes most of our features, not all, but most of it, 95% of our features. Okay, so I want to bring that CSV file or that table back into my code editor, back into my script, because I want to work with that one. Okay, so this is how I do it. Remember, I showed that in the previous video tutorial. I basically go to asset, etc., and it is included there. It sits, open buildings. Okay, I can go and have a look at it by just left click on it. I can import it there. That's up to you. Okay, so I bring it in as a feature collection and I label it CSV. Okay, and I've already in the previous video displayed it. So what I want to do now, remember, in this particular feature collection, I've created 3 variables. And this displays the confidence levels of each of my build-up structures. Those build-up structures normally, remember, as I said, the smaller the build-up structure, the less confidence they are. Okay, etc. So, yeah, so, but remember, in the table, you'll have to look, and there's the original table. There's the confidence level. So in that specific image, I have to go back there. In that specific code, I filter it based on the images. I classify my image based on the confidence levels. And I've created 3 bands, which is a 60 to 65, etc., and I display them as red, as it's green, orange, and red. Green being high confidence, etc. But we know within that table, or the table that we have got now, there's also an area in meters. So I can also then classify, except that we, besides classifying it and based on or categorizing it as in confidence levels, I can also generate variables relating to the size of each building. Okay, so I've classified it or categorized it in area in meters. Remember, this is the area in meters. We have to, okay, so let's go back. So it's the same feature collection. I just now call it build up. Okay. Here I just brought it in and just displayed. Straightforward, nothing. Remember, I clip it. Here I'm the same one. I'm bringing it in, same as a feature collection. So this is just a repeat of this. But now I call it build up. And I'm doing it separate because within that build up, I'm going to filter 3 categories. Okay. I'm going to filter 3 categories. So I'm going to use my feature collection build up, and then I'm going to go filter it. What column is I, or what feature within this table I'm going to kind of focus on or categorize. I'm going to use area in meters. Now remember that wording there, area in meters, must be exactly the same as in my spreadsheet or in my table. You see, area underscore in underscore meters. So you basically just copy it from there and you just basically paste it as is. And then the categories, the bins themselves, the upper and lower levels, that's up to you. That's up to your discretion. I just use 1 to 20, 20 to 100, and more than 100. So less than or equal to 1 to bigger and equal to 1 and smaller than 20, bigger and equal to 20, less than 100, and bigger and equal to 100. And then I just basically give it the same color scheme. Green, orange, and red. So green is the highest, etc. So let's have a look and see how that looks like. So I'm going to go, let me just unselect all these ones that we're not interested in. Now just bear in mind, as per the previous video tutorial, when we import it, I import it as points, not as polygons. Okay, so just remember that. Okay, so there is my buildings, built-up structures displayed in size, in 2D format, in size, meaning width and length. Now remember what we said is that the area in meters, 1 to 20 is red, so that would be small buildings. Medium buildings, I call it medium. You can call it whatever you want to call it. So these variable names are up to you. Then we've got medium buildings, which is 20 square meters to 100 square meters. And then we've got large buildings, which is green, which is higher than 100. You can see there. Let me zoom in. You can see there's all the buildings that are classified as small buildings. Orange is all the buildings classified as large buildings, and green are all the buildings classified as large buildings. Sorry, large buildings is green. Go there. Large buildings is green. Yellow is medium buildings, and red is small buildings. Let's zoom in. You can see there the green, there's an orange one, which is just basically that. The green is that. There's an orange one, the green is that. There's a little red one there, which is small. There's again an orange one. You can see how it basically, so if we go, let's have a look and see. If we go to, sorry, if we go to build up, let's have a look and see. That's not, why is it not running? Okay, it doesn't classify those buildings itself. Let's go to combined buildings. Okay, so let's look at this one. See, there we go. You can see it classified as 3 different buildings. So this one structure, let's call it one structure, they've actually classified as 4 structures. So there's your big structure, you see it's green. There's 2 structures there that is medium, and there's the small structure that is red. You can see the same here. Okay, so remember this is points, but each point represents those polygons. Okay, because we brought it in as points. So there you can see we can now zoom in, and it gives you an indication of where, based on our assumption, where the small buildings are, where the medium buildings are, and where the large buildings are. Similar to the previous one where we said, where's all the buildings that we've got high confidence, medium confidence, low confidence, we can now go and say, where's our buildings that are small, medium, and high and large. And again, play around with these numbers. Those are discretionary. That's really up to you. And if you want more categories, do more categories. If you want less categories, do less categories. This is totally up to you. This up to you how you want to play around with this. That's totally up to you. Okay, so now we have got a confidence map, we've got a size map, area map, or image. Okay, so we have how much confidence we will have that those are actual structures. We have what is the size of those structures, and now we want to say what is the height of those structures. Okay, and this is where we bring in the canopy height model, our difference between the digital surface model and the digital terrain model. Okay, so we've got that image. So I want to basically generate a height value for each of those structures that we just got it. Yeah, that we just mapped here. Okay, so how we're going to do this is we're going to basically use a reducer. Okay, we're going to use a reducer. So follow with, let me just make it bigger quickly. So I've just used, I've called it a reduced variable. You can, again, that's up to your discretion. and I'm going to use my CHM image, meaning this one here, my first canopy height model image. Remember, that's the image there. Let's quickly just display that image. There it is. Let me just delete that one and this one. There's my canopy height model, okay, image. And again, I can, if you remember, I think if I'm vaguely correctly, then the bluer you go, the smaller the height or the lower the height, and the more red you go, the higher the height, the taller, smaller and tinier and taller. Okay, yeah, something to that effect. Okay, so we've got our, we've got our image, and we want to reduce that image on each of those structures. And I'm going to use the mean. Okay, remember, I'm going to use the mean. Okay, so there's my reducer. By variable, I'm going to use my what? I'm going to use my regions. I'm going to use a mean reducer, and I'm going to reduce my image, my canopy height image. I'm going to reduce it for each of these structures that's within my built up feature collection. Remember, there's my feature collection built up, which is all that buildings. What it was it? Let's have a look. It's 50,000 buildings, something to that. Yeah, about 50,000 buildings. Okay, so I want to generate a height value for each of these 50,000 buildings based on my canopy height model, which is the DSM, this one subtracted by that one. Okay, scale is 30, etc., etc. Okay, so then I'm going to print it just to make sure that it has correctly reduced it for each of my regions, and I get my output there. If I click on that, let's click on that, you'll see it will have now features 10. Remember it, okay, let's click on that one there. Let's make it, okay, there's my properties. It will have the polygon, we'll have the area meters, confidence level, that code, and then there's the mean value, -7, and my unique identifier they gave it. So this is the value that it now includes into, that it generates. So for that specific feature, whatever 6801 is, then you can go into your spreadsheet, and you can go and find out where 68, yeah, that's that one there, that's that, where 681, you can go down, we've got the Roy 68, you can go to 68, and anyway, you know how to do it, you can find it, 6801, and you can identify the location of that and see what is there. Okay, so let's have a look and see what this one is. Let's go to this feature. It's got, and that's -9. So let's have a look at this one. That's a 0. Now, there is over 50,000, so it's never going to display all the features. So I've just limited to the first 10, and that's how you do that. Otherwise, it's going to time out. It's going to bomb out. It's never going to list. It's never going to list in here. Let me just close it. It's never going to list all 50,000 features. Never going to do it. It's just too much. So I've limited to 10. You can do 20, 30. That's up to you. Okay, so now we know that it's reduced it correctly. Now I've got a variable, or I've got an image that I've created that is now basically the feature collection. So I need to convert that image back into a feature collection. Okay, and I do that by setting EE feature collection. What I'm going to convert to a table, this reduced image. Okay, and I'm going to convert it back into a feature. Okay, so I'm going to convert it back into a feature. Okay, I'm still going to clip it for my region of interest. And now what I can do is I can now filter it based on that height value. Remember, it classified it as a mean. Classified it as a mean. Okay, so here it's classified as area in meters. Area in meters, but it's now classified it as a mean. So it's created a column called mean. If you go back there, it's created a column called mean. So I'm going to filter it now all these features, I'm going to filter it based on mean. And my first feature is a low height or tiny or small height or whatever you want to call it. You can't call it small because it's already small. Okay, low. Okay, and that's minus 10 meters to 2.5 meters. My medium height is 2.5 to 5, and my high buildings are bigger than 5. And I basically give it a color. Okay, and I run it. Okay, so let's have a look how that looks. And there it is, buildings. Okay, so it's gonna, there we go. So remember, red buildings are low buildings, or and green buildings are very tall buildings or very high buildings, and orange buildings are what we call medium. I just might remember there it's medium buildings, but it's an N. In here I have got an M. So you can typically do it small buildings here with a 1L, for example. Just make sure never duplicates, never duplicates. And there we go. So now if you go to the layers, I've got my buildings in height, I've got my buildings in size, and I've got my buildings in confidence, all in one script. Okay, so you can see there's the green, that's where all the high buildings are, the very tall buildings, or the bigger, higher than 5 meters. Okay, that's there. Then the orange are all the buildings classified between 2.5 and 5, and the red buildings are all the, let's call it small buildings or low buildings, which is minus, which is a bit strange, but nonetheless, and then up to 2.5 meters high. And there we go. So now we've got a three-dimensional image of our buildings. We've got a height and we've got a size, and that gives us a nice representation of the buildings. Okay, so let's pause here for now. In the next video tutorial, we're going to go and play a little bit more with these images so that we can understand exactly what is included and what's excluded and how they correspond, etc., etc. And obviously, remember, we can now export that feature collection. Okay, so we import our feature collection, then we reduce our feature collection based on our canopy height image. Okay, and then we convert that back into a feature collection, and then we classify it based on our height values. Okay, and then we're going to export it. Okay, so let's pause there for now and see what we can do in our next video. Thanks for joining me for this particular video tutorial. Some interesting stuff that we're working on. I hope you are enjoying it and also finding it fascinating and interesting. As always, stay tuned for more to come. Thanks for being with me, for staying with me, for joining me on this ride. And I'll see you on the other side.